Hello, I'm Erin Hofmann and I teach piano here at REW Music. So I fell in love with the piano right when I started taking lessons. I actually started when I was 10 years old in 4th grade, I believe. My mom took piano lessons when she was a kid, and my older sister was also doing piano. So I think part of it was just wanting to compete with my older sister. But after a while I was like, wow, I actually really enjoy this. I think the thing that first got me into it was just the challenge of practicing every week and learning the pieces my teacher was giving me. I enjoyed just showing up to the lesson well prepared and being like, yes, I did this week, earning my little sticker. But as I got farther along, it became more about the meaning behind the music and just expressing emotion through music, I think. Even today, anytime I'm feeling any kind of emotion, maybe I'm really upset, maybe I'm really happy or anxious, the first thing I always want to do is just go play the piano and let my emotions out. And on top of that, in college I kind of dived more into classical music, and I really enjoyed learning about the composers and the reasons they wrote those pieces, and I think it showed me that I could tell a story with the music I was playing, so that's something else that I just really love about piano. The best thing for teaching music about me is just getting to form the personal relationships with all of my students and then watching them set goals and beat those goals each week. So I really strive to form a personal relationship with every student that I have. So from the very first lesson, I try to get to know them more as a person, not just as a student. I want them to feel comfortable to come to their lessons each week and excited to see me. I know from my personal experience that having a teacher that you can feel comfortable with is really important. And I think it just creates a great environment to learn and grow in. So I love when we can create goals together, come together, and then they'll come back the next week thinking that I gave them such a hard piece they could never beat. They come back and beat it, and they're just so excited to play it for me. So I think that's the most rewarding part for both the student and I think it just keeps them really excited to come back every week. So I use several different music styles in my lessons. I was mostly trained in classical piano throughout my piano lessons in college. But in college I also did jazz band, I played in some church settings, I played for vocalists, choirs, and soloists, and then I've also played for weddings and events like that. So I like to try to incorporate every style of music, but I like to start with doing a classical foundation. So what that means is I'm going to start out teaching them note names, finding notes on the staff, on the piano, the theory behind the music, intervals, all those basic things. And I think that sets a really strong foundation for them to learn any style of music they want. So after they kind of have progressed a little bit, I kind of ask them what they're interested in, because I know they're going to practice more if they enjoy what they're learning. So for example, I've had a student who really wanted to do jazz and improvisation. So with him, the first thing I did was started working with his ear training. So I would play different intervals on the piano, and he would have to close his eyes and tell me what I was playing. And then after that, I started teaching about 7th chords, so he could read off a jazz chart. And then we would also do improvised duets. I would play a bass line, he'd play something over the top of me. And so that really just helped him get a better ear, better improvising, and by the end of the semester he was playing Fly Me to the Moon on a jazz chart, and he just really enjoyed it. And then I've also had students who wanted to do vocal music, so accompanying music. I had a student that was actually going into choral education, so I worked with her a lot on that because that's actually what I do as a job outside of teaching. So that was a really fun one, and I have a student right now who's wanting to more do wedding music, background music, so it's just really interesting seeing what they all want to do and just trying to let them dip their foot into each style. I want them to all have a basic foundation for every style so they can kind of see where they want to go. So one of the biggest breakthroughs in my lesson so far has been with a little girl I had. She's only 6 years old, and she just started a few months ago. But from the very beginning, she was struggling to keep her wrists raised to have proper hand position, so she always played with really flat hands like this. And I tried so many different ways to get her out of it. So the ways that I had been taught was oh, pretend like you're holding a little ball or a bubble. Didn't work for her. Or I would just try to be okay, mimic my hands, do this, this, this. She'd do it, but then once she started playing, it was back to the straight hands. So I was what am I gonna do with this girl? So she's very creative and imaginative. So I was I need something out of the box. So what I came up with was I'm gonna tell her that there is this imaginary mouse running across the keys back and forth. And I was he wants to keep going back and forth to get across. I was if you keep your hands flat, he's gonna get stuck. So I was you gotta raise him. So I was this is crazy, it might not work, but she totally loved it. She made up a name for the mouse and everything, and it actually works. So every time now she starts going back down, I'm mousy, mousy, and she raises her wrists again. So that was a really exciting lesson for both of us, I think.